There we go. Good evening, good evening. Welcome back to your cozy reading hour here in Somnium. Hello, El Perito. I'm doing well, dear. Hello, No Sleep. How are you, dear? How are you feeling? Hello, you. Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? Did you have a good day back at school? And Bunny, did you have a good... Are you feeling better? Aw, I take that short. As you're still recovering. My eyes are suffering so badly today from allergies. I'm like,
Cool equals sad life.
no. No, don't be sad. Don't be sad. Think that
I am
you...
on the edge of existence.
Oh, everyone today. Oh my goodness. Hopefully El Barito is actually doing a little bit better. Yo hablo un poquito español, but not much. I only speak a little bit. I more can understand Spanish conversationally, and it takes me some time to wrap my brain back around to the many years that I used to speak it conversationally, but not as much anymore. But it's the first language I ever
I
fell in
know
love
that
with.
perrito means doggy.
Perrito
I
is
know
little
Uno.
doggy.
We caught the game.
Uno is one, yeah.
Uno dos tres cuatro.
Yes. Look at everyone learning languages together. I'm proud of you all. Good job, babies. But
Uno momento por favor.
yes, one minute, please. ¿Qué tal is asking like, how are you? Like, how are you doing? And salud is like, saludo is like greetings. How are you? So a little un poquito Spanish lesson.
Yes, I.
C is
Hey.
yes. K is could be what. So ¿qué tal is like how are you? Or what's up is probably kind of another way that you could look at that. You guys are so
Is it
cute.
caca? Caca?
No, I don't know if
Please.
Kaka
The
actually has like
comprehending you
a
blunt picture must pop up in your mind.
the what? Quieres, I want. Oh,
¿Quieres?
no. No. Quiero or quieres is you want though, and quiero is I want. Quieres is like you, like the ES on the end lets you know who it's talking about. It comes from the root word quiere, which means to want something. So if I say I want you, it's yo quiero tú. I want you. If I say I want a drink, quiero beber. I want a drink. So yeah, look,
I
conjugations. We
sent
could
that
do it.
picture.
You sent the picture. Oh my God. I love how my mind was like, we're gonna have a soft and cozy, gentle reading stream, and you guys are over here like, oh, we're gonna talk about languages instead. I appreciate that a lot though. I saw it. You're very silly. But I'm glad that it seems that you are
We
feeling.
rotting.
We're rotting. No rotting. Don't rot, babies. Come on, you can do it. You're supposed to be holding on to the edge of your dreams today. But no, I know some days it's like, oh my gosh, especially when you've had a long holiday to have to go back to school. It's like, please no. Or work. Like, why? That's why I always feel like if it's shorter than 2 weeks, it's just not worth it. Like 3 days or 4 days even.
It's a very early stream today.
It is an early stream today because I'm going to have an early rest today. I'm actually very tired. So I've been trying to, I've been working and trying to stay awake. So I just actually took like an hour power nap. And I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I just want to go back to bed. I'm ready to return to my dreamscape already.
Me too. Also got 3 hours of sleep earlier. So ready to be
Oh.
here longer than yesterday.
I'm glad you got more sleep. You had me feeling so guilty about destroying your sleep habits. But I'm so glad that we've been having such a wonderful time together. And we have.
Anyways, I go die and possibly write
No,
my paper.
no, don't die. But do write your paper because that is due today. To all my students or estudiantes out there who are doing their best to work towards their college degree or any sort of academic that you're working towards. I'm proud of you today. I know sometimes it's frustrating, but take a breath when you need to. If you want to check our recent short from today, it talks about just taking a moment to just step
You
away
a
and
real teacher.
I, I am a teacher in a different way, but not a teacher in school and away from my somnium dreams. No, I am not a teacher. But I do teach people how to take care of themselves. And I do teach people how to reach their dreams. And I do teach people how to clear their mind of any doubt
Ms. Mushy.
to help them to get to what it
Can I
is that
go to
they're
the
striving
toilet?
for. Can I go to the toilet? No, you cannot right now. We're getting ready to start reading. You better sit there and pay attention and be comfortable and lay quietly with your head on my lap. That's what you're allowed to do. No, you can go to the bathroom if you need to. Please do go before we start. But this evening, speaking of what we're going to do, we shall
Moo.
be taking. No! We shall be beginning our adventures with the Yellow Wallpaper. So I hope that you all enjoy the reading tonight. I will give just a couple more moments for me to rub my eyes a little bit more and try to relieve myself of the pollen that is attacking my face. I fell asleep in the sun today, so that's probably probably my fault. It was rather windy today, so I'm sure the pollen was all kicked up and happy and doing its thing and spreading its happy little sperm so that flowers can grow in the coming summer season. But my eyes are suffering for it. But I'm happy. I'm so happy to have you all here today. And I actually did.
Not though the whole last VOD. Did you listen to podcast?
Oh, so you did you sleep well? I should ask you that first of all, because you were like you're still here. You were here when I fell asleep, and you're here when I wake. What? But I hope that you had really good dreams last night. I didn't have
Yeah,
a
fine.
good, 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 good. I didn't have the opportunity to listen to much today, but remember, I'm like very well ahead of where we are. So, like, I'm technically almost finished. But I'm glad that I'm going back and re listening to it because there's so much stuff that I didn't catch that I'm just like, wait a minute. So, it's helping me towards the end because I'm like, oh, I absolutely missed that. So, but I like to listen when I don't have anything to do because it's such a like there's so many pieces of the puzzle. It's absolutely a horror show that you have to listen to when you're away from everything. Like I don't think that you should be. I mean, you can like I think to let yourself to become really like enraptured by the scene and the environment and the sounds and everything, like the show can literally swallow you up. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like you forget that you're listening to, a YouTube video and you feel like you're sitting there with the archivist in the archive as he's pressing play on the recorder. And sometimes I want to reach through the screen and tell him to press pause for a second because I need a break. I'm scared. I'm in danger. So, But I'm trying to sip my tea so I can warm my voice up a little bit. I still have a bit of my sleepy voice, but that is okay. But yes, tonight we will be reading The Yellow Wallpaper, and this is going to be a very
Danger alert.
it is. This is a psychological horror story. So, I love psychological horror. It's probably my favorite horror type possible. That's anything that can make you feel like you need to get away from yourself because you're just that terrified, like, oh, is this really my reality? So I think that this is a classic. Sorry. This is a horror classic. Um, beep 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 beep. I am the sleepy baby today, not just the train siren. I am also the dreamer on the end who's waiting to slip away into the void of nothingness and allow myself to be taken away into my little dream world and everything that it has waiting for me, which is what I hope that you all get to experience. Did I forget anything? Oh, I did. I have to remember to distribute the pulse code for the first week of the month. So if you haven't had the opportunity, please check the description box. We have an adorable app. It's called Respite, and it allows you to put your fingers on the pulse of somnium. I distribute more exclusive messages there, and you can download the app, and it comes with a monthly code, which I will give during live broadcast. So for the month of April, that code is 2428-3724. Again, that is 2428-3724. And I hope that you will connect to the pulse of somnium and allow yourself to have a moment of respite in our gentle messages that we send there. So I think my voice is a bit more warmed up now. We have a nice mint tea, which I'm absolutely loving right now because it also helps with clearing the pollen in my throat. And mint is also really good for relaxation as well. So if you're someone who suffers from anxiety, get yourself a really good mint tea. Mint on its own, whether it be through a tea form or like a little candy mint, is known to help reduce a little bit of your anxiety. Obviously, if you're having an anxiety attack, having something that has like a really strong minty flavor to it, or even like if you're sort of having maybe like a spiral, you can even go get like a lemon and just take like a bite of the lemon, and the sourness and the like the mintiness, if you're going to go the mint route, will help sort of like snap you out of that spiral loop. So keep that little nugget of wisdom in your pocket. And so, all right, I'm going to take your voices away. I'm sorry. But we shall begin reading The Yellow Wallpaper. It will wake you up really quick. It'll snap you back from the edge and bring you down softly to reality. All right, my dears. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you had a good day. We're almost to hump day. I'm proud of you. All right. The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It is very seldom that mere ordinary people like John and myself secure ancestral halls for the summer. A colonial mansion, a hereditary estate, I would say a haunted house, and reach the height of romantic felicity. But that would be asking too much of fate. Still, I will proudly declare that there is something queer about it. Else why should it be let so cheaply? And why have stood so long untenanted? John laughs at me, of course, but one expects that in marriage. John is practical in the extreme. He has no patience with faith and an intense horror of suspicion, and he scoffs openly at any talk of things not to be felt or seen and put down in figures. John is a physician, and perhaps I would not say it to a living soul, of course, but this is dead paper, and a great relief to my mind. Perhaps that is one reason I do not get well faster. You see, he does not believe I am sick. And what can one do? If a physician of high standing and one's own husband assures friends and relatives that there is really nothing the matter with one but temporary nervous depression, a, a slight hysterical tendency, what is one to do? My brother is also a physician and also of high standing, and he says the same thing. So I take phosphates or phosphates, whichever it is, and tonics and journeys and air and exercise, and am absolutely forbidden to work until I am well again. Personally, I disagree with their ideas. Personally, I believe that congenial work with excitement and change would do me good. But what is one to do? I did write for a while in spite of them, but it does exhaust me a good deal, having to be very sly about it, or else meet with heavy opposition. I sometimes fancy that in my condition, if I had less opposition and more society and stimulus, but John says that very worst thing I can do is to think about my condition, and I confess it always makes me feel bad. So I will let it alone and talk about the house. The most beautiful place. It is quite alone, standing well back from the road, quite 3 miles from the village. It makes me think of English places that you read about, where there are hedges and walls and gates that lock, and lots of separate little houses for the gardener and the people. There is a delicious garden. I never saw such a garden. Large and shady, full of box bordered paths, and lined with long grape cover arbors with seats under them. There were greenhouses too, but they are all broken now. There was some legal trouble, I believe. Something about the heirs and co-heirs. But anyhow, the place has been empty for years. That spoils my ghostliness, I am afraid, but I do not care. There is something strange about the house. I can feel it. I even said so to John one moonlit evening, but He said what I felt was a drought and shut the window. I get unreasonably angry with John sometimes. I'm sure I never used to be so sensitive. I think it's due to this nervous condition. But John says if I feel so, I shall neglect proper self-care. So I take pains to control myself. Before him, at least. And that makes me very tired. I don't like our room a bit. I wanted one downstairs that opened onto the piazza and had roses all over the window and such pretty old-fashioned chintz hangings, but John would not hear of it. He said there was only one window and not room for two beds, and no near room for him if he took another. He is very careful and loving, and hardly lets me stir without special direction. I have a schedule prescription for each hour in the day. He takes all care for me, and so I feel basely ungrateful not to value it more. He said we came here solely on my account, that I was to have perfect rest and all the air I could get. Your exercise depends on your strength, my dear, said he, and your food somewhat on your appetite, but air you can absorb all the time. So we took the nursery at the top of the house. It's a big, airy room, the whole floor nearly, with windows that all look, all, or that that look always, and air and sunshine galore. It was nursery first, then playground and gymnasium. I should judge, for the windows are barred for little children, and there are rings and things in the walls. The paint and paper, as if a boy's school had used it. It is striped off, the paper, in great patches all around the room, or all around the head of my bed. About as far as I can reach, and in a great place on the other side of the room, low down. I never saw a worse paper in my life. One of those sprawling, flamboyant patterns committing every artistic sin. It is dull enough to confuse the eye in following, pronounced enough to constantly irritate and provoke study. And when you follow the lame, uncertain curves for a little distance, they suddenly commit suicide. A plunge off in outrageous angles, destroying themselves in unheard of contradictions. The color is repellent, almost revolting. A smoldering, unclean yellow, strangely faded by the slow turning sunlight. It is a dull yet lurid orange in some places, a sickly sulphur tint in others. No wonder the children hated it. I said hate it myself if I had to live in this room this long. There comes John. I must put this away. He hates to have me write a word. We have been here 2 weeks, and I haven't felt like writing before since that first day. I am sitting by the window now, up in the atrocious nursery, and there is nothing to hinder my writing as much as I please, save lack of strength. John is away all day, and even some nights when his cases are serious. I am glad my case is not serious. But these nervous troubles are dreadfully depressing. John does not know how much I really suffer. He knows there is no reason to suffer, and that satisfies him. Of course, it is only nervousness. It does weigh on me so not to do my duty in any way. I meant to be such a help to John, such a real rest and comfort, and here I am, a compartment of burden already. Nobody would believe what an effort it is to do what little I am able, to dress and entertain and order things. It is fortunate Mary is so good with the baby. Such a dear baby. And yet I cannot be with him. It makes me so nervous. I suppose John never was nervous in his life. He laughs at me so about this wallpaper. At first he meant to repaper the room, but afterwards he said I was letting it get the better of me, and that nothing was worse for a nervous patient than to give way to such fancies. He said that after the wallpaper was changed, it would be the heavy bedstand, and then the barred windows, and then that gate at the head of the stairs, and so on. "You know the place is doing you good," he said. "And really, dear, I don't care to renovate the house just for a 3-month rental." "Then let us to go downstairs," I said. "There's such pretty rooms there." And then he took me in his arms and called me a blessed little goose, and said he would go down cellar if I wished, and have it whitewashed into bargain. But he is right enough about the beds and windows and things. It is as airy and comfortable a room as any as one need wish, and, of course, I would not be so silly as to make him uncomfortable, just for a whim. I'm really getting quite fond of the big room. All but that horrid paper. Out of one window, I can see the garden. Those mysterious, deep shaded arbors, the riotous old-fashioned flowers and bushes and gnarly trees. Out of another, I get a lovely view of the bay and a little private wharf belonging to the estate. There is a beautiful shaded lane that runs down there from the house. I always fancy I see people walking in the numerous pathways and arbors, but John has cautioned me not to give way to fancy in the least. He says that my imaginative power and habit of story-making a nervous weakness like mine is sure to lead to all manner of excited fancies, and that I ought to use my will and good sense to check the tendencies. So I try. I think sometimes that if I were only well enough to write a little, it would relieve the press of ideas and rest me. But I find I get pretty tired when I try. It is so discouraging not to have any advice and companionship about my work. When I get really well, John says we will ask Cousin Henry and Julia down for a long visit. But he says he would as soon put fireworks in my pillowcase as to let me have those simulating people about now. Or stimulating, sorry. I wish I could get well faster. But I must not think about that. This paper looks to me as if I knew what a vicious influence it had. There is a recurrent spot where the pattern lolls like a broken neck, and two bulbulous eyes stare at you upside down. I get positively angry with the impotence of it and the everlastingness. Up and down and sideways they crawl, and those absurd unblinking are everywhere. Very stimulating people. There is one place where two breaths didn't match, and the eyes go all up and down the line, one a little higher than the other. I never saw so much expression in an innate thing before, and we all know how much expression they have. I used to lie awake as a child and get more entertainment and terror out of a blank wall and plain furniture than most children could find in a toy store. I remember what a kindly wink the knobs of our old bureau used to have, and there was one chair there always seemed like a strong friend. I used to feel that if any of the other things looked too fierce, I could always hop into that chair and be safe. The furniture in this room is no worse than inharmonious, however, for we had to bring it all from downstairs. I suppose when this was used as a playroom, they had to take the nursery things out, and no wonder. I never saw such ravages as the children have made here before. The wallpaper, as I said before, is torn off in spots, and it's sticketh closer than a brother. They must have had perseverance as well as hatred. Then the floor is scratched and gouged and splintered. The plaster itself is dug out here and there, and this great heavy bed, which is all we have found in the room, looks as if it had been through the wars. But I don't mind it a bit. Only, only the paper. There comes John's sister. Such a dear girl as she is, and so careful of me. I must not let her find me writing. She is a perfect and enthusiastic housekeeper, and hopes for no better profession. I verily believe she thinks it is the writing which made me sick. But I can write when she is out, and see her long way off from these windows. There's one that commands the road, a lovely, shaded, winding road, and one that just looks over the country. A lovely country, too, full of great elms and velvet meadows. The wallpaper is a kind of sub pattern and a different shade, a particularly irritating one, for you can only see it in a certain light and not clearly then. But in the places where it isn't faded, and where the sun is just so, I can see a strange, provoking, formless sort of figure that seems to sulk about behind that silly and conspicuous front design. There's Sister on the stairs. Well, the 4th of July is over. The people are gone and I'm tired out. John thought it might do me good to see a little company. So we had just Mother and Nellie and the children down for a week. Of course, I didn't do a thing. Ginny sees to everything now. But it tired me all the same. John says if I don't pick up faster, he shall send me to the Weir Mitchell in the fall. But I don't want to go there at all. I had a friend who was in his hands once, and she says he is just like John and my brother, only more so. Besides, it is such an undertaking to go so far. I don't feel as if it was worth it while to turn my hand over for anything, and I'm getting dreadfully fretful and quarrelsome. I cry about nothing and cry most of the time. Of course, I don't when John is here, or anybody else, but when I am alone. And I am alone a good deal just now. John is kept in town very often by serious cases, and Ginny is good and lets me alone when I want her to. So I can walk a little in the garden or down that lovely lane, sit on the porch under the roses, and lie down up here a good deal. I'm getting really fond of the room in spite of the wallpaper. Perhaps because of the wallpaper. It dwells in my mind so. I lie here on this great immovable bed. It is nailed down, I believe, and follow that pattern about by the hour. It is as good as gymnastics, I assure you. I start, we'll say, at the bottom, down in the corner over there where it has not been touched, and I determine for the 1000th time that I will follow that pointless pattern to some sort of a conclusion. I know a little of the principles of design, and I know this thing was not arranged on any laws of radiation or alteration or repetition or symmetry or anything else that I've ever heard of. It is repeated, of course, by the breaths, but nothing otherwise. Looked at it one way, each breath stands alone. The bloated curves and flourishes, a kind of debased Romanesque with delirium tremens, go waddling up and down in isolated columns of faulty. Oh, I'm sorry, a fatuity. But on the other hand, they connect diagonally, and the sprawling outlines run off in great slanting waves of optic horror, like a lot of wallowing seaweeds in full chase. The whole thing goes horizontally, too. At least it seems so, and I exhaust myself in trying to distinguish the order of its going in that direction. I have used a horizontal breath for friends, and that adds wonderful to the confusion, or that adds wonderfully to the confusion. There is one end of the room where it is almost intact, and there, when the cross lights fade and the low sun shines directly onto it, I can almost fancy radiation after all. The interminable grotesque seems to form around a common center and rush off in headlong plunges of equal distraction. It makes me tired to follow it. I, I will take a nap, I guess. I don't know why I should write this. I don't want to. I don't feel able. And I know John would think it's absurd. But I must say what I feel and think in some way. It's just such a relief. But the effort is getting to be greater than the relief. Half the time now I am fully lazy and lie down ever so much. John says I mustn't lose my strength and has me take cod liver oil and lots of tonics and things, to say nothing of ale and wine and rare meat. Dear John, he, he loves me very dearly and hates to have me sick. I tried to have a real earnest, reasonable talk with him the other day, and to tell him how I wish he would let me go and make a visit to Cousin Henry and Julia. He said I wasn't able to go, nor able to stand it after I got there, and I did not make out a very good case for myself, for I was crying before I had finished. It is getting to be a great effort for me to think straight. Just this nervous weakness, I suppose. And dear John gathered me up in his arms and carried me upstairs and laid me on the bed and sat by me and read to me until I tired my head. He said I was his darling and his comfort and all he had, and that I must take care of myself for his sake and keep well. He says no one but myself can help me out of it, that I must use my will and self-control and not let any silly fancies run away with me. There's one comfort. The baby is well and happy, and does not have to occupy this nursery with the horrid wallpaper. No! Dear, dear, it'll be okay. If we had not used it, if we had not used it, that blessed child would have. What a fortunate escape. What a fortunate escape. Why, I wouldn't have a child of mine. An impressionable little thing lived in such a room for worlds. I never thought of it before, but it is lucky that John kept me here after all. I can stand it so much easier than a baby, you see. Of course, I never mention that to them anymore. I am too wise. but I keep watch of it all the same. There are things in that paper that nobody knows but me, or ever will. Behind that outside pattern, the dim shapes get clearer every day. It is always the same shape, only very numerous. And it is like a woman stomping down and creeping about behind that pattern. I don't like it a bit. I I wonder. I begin to think. I wish John would take me away from here. It is so hard to talk with John about my case because he is so wise and because he loves me so. But I tried it last night. It was moonlight. The moon shines in all around, just as the sun does. I hate to see it sometimes. It just creeps so slowly and always comes in by one window or another. John was asleep, and I hated to awaken him, so I kept still and watched the moonlight on that undulating wallpaper till I felt creepy. The faint figure behind seemed to shake the pattern, just as if she wanted to get out. I, I, I got up softly and went to feel and see if the paper did move, and when I came back, John was awake. "What is it, little girl?" he said. "Don't go walking about like that. You'll get cold." I thought it was a good time to talk, so I told him that I really was not gaining here and that I wished that he would take me away. "Why, darling?" he said. "Our lease will be up in 3 weeks. I can't see how to leave before. The repairs are not done at home, and I cannot possibly leave town just now. Of course, if you were in any danger, I could and would, but you really are better, dear, whether you can see it or not. I am a doctor, dear, and I know. You are gaining flesh and color, your appetite is better. I feel really much easier about you." "I don't weigh a bit more," said I. "Nor as much, and my appetite may be better in the evening when you are here, but it is worse in the morning when you are away." "Bless her little heart," said he with a big hug. "She shall be as sick as she pleases. But now let's improve the shining hour by going to sleep, and talk about it in the morning." "And you won't go away?" I said gloomily. "Why, how can I, dear? It is only 3 weeks more, and then we will take a little nice trip of a few days while Jenny is getting the house ready. Really, really, dear, you are better." "Better in the body, perhaps," I began and stopped short, for he sat up straight and looked at me with such a stern, reproachful look that I could not say another word. "My darling," he said, "I beg of you, for my sake and for our child's sake, as well as your own, that you will never, for one instant, let that idea enter your mind. There is nothing so dangerous, so fascinating, to a temperament like yours. It is a false and foolish fancy. Can you not trust me as a physician when I tell you so?" So of course I said no more of that score, and we went to sleep before long. He thought I was fast asleep, but but I wasn't. I lay there for hours trying to decide whether that front pattern and the back pattern really did move together or maybe separately. On a pattern like this by daylight, there is a lack of consequence, a defiance of law, that is a constant irritant to a normal mind. The color is hideous enough and unreliable enough and infuriating enough, but the pattern is torturing. You think you have it mastered, but just as you get well underway in following, and it turns back a somersault, and there you are. It slaps you in the face and knocks you down and tramples upon you. It's like a bad dream. The outside pattern is a florid arboresque reminding me of fungus. If you can imagine a toadstool in joints, an indeterminable string of toadstools budding and sprouting in endless convulsions, why, there is something like it. That is it. Sometimes. There is one marked particularly about this paper, a thing nobody seems to notice but me, and that is that it changes as the light changes. When the sun shoots in through the east window, I always watch for the first long straight ray. It changes so quickly that I never can quite believe it. That is why I watch it always. By moonlight, the moon shines in all night when there is a moon. I wouldn't know it was the same paper. At night, in any kind of light, in twilight, candlelight, lamplight, or worst of all, by moonlight, it becomes bars. The outside pattern, I mean, and the woman behind it as plain as can be. I didn't realize for a long time what the thing was that showed behind that dim sub-pattern. But now I am quite sure. It is a woman. By daylight, she is subdued, quiet. I fancy it is the pattern that keeps her so still. It is so puzzling. It keeps me quiet by the hour. I lie down ever so much now. John says it's good for me, and to sleep all that I can. Indeed, he started the habit by making me lie down for an hour after each meal. It is a very bad habit, I am convinced, for you see, I just don't sleep. And that cultivates deceit, for I don't tell him that I'm awake. Oh no. The fact is, I'm getting a little afraid of John. He seems very queer sometimes, and even Jenny has an inexplicable look. It strikes me occasionally, just as a scientific hypothesis, that perhaps it is the paper. I have watched John when he did not know I was looking, and come into the room suddenly on the most innocent excuses, and I've caught him several times looking at the paper. And Jenny, too. I caught Jenny with her hand on it once. She didn't know I was in the room, and when I asked her in a quiet and a very quiet voice, with the most restrained manner possible, what she was doing with the paper, she turned around as if I had been caught, or if she had been caught stealing, and looked quite angry, and asked me why I should frighten her so. Then she said that the paper stained everything it touched, that she had found yellow smooches on all my, smooches on all my clothes and John's, and she wished we would be more careful. Did not that sound innocent? But I know she was studying that pattern, and I am determined that nobody shall find it out but myself. Life is very much more exciting now than it used to be. You see, I have something more to expect, to look forward to watch. I really do eat better, and I am more quiet than I was. John is so pleased to see me improve. He laughed a little the other day and said I seemed to be flourishing in spite of my wallpaper. I turned it off with a laugh. I had no intention of telling him it was because of the wallpaper. He would make fun of me. He might even want me to take away, or he might even want to take me away. I don't want to leave now until I find it out. There is a week more, and I think it will be enough. I'm feeling ever so better. I don't sleep much at night, for it is so interesting to watch developments, but I sleep a good deal in the daytime. In the daytime, it is tiresome and perplexing. There are always new shots of the fungus and new shades of yellow all over it. I cannot keep count of them, though I have tried consciously. It is the strangest yellow, that wallpaper. It makes me think of all the yellow things I've ever saw. Not beautiful ones like buttercups, but old, foul, bad yellow things. But there is something else about that paper. Smell. I noticed it in the moment when we came into the room, but with so much air and sun, it was not bad. Now we have had a week of fog and rain, and whether the windows are open or not, the smell is there. It creeps all over the house. I I find it hovering in the dining room, skulking in the parlor, hiding in the hall even, lying and waiting for me on the stairs. It gets into my hair. Even when I go to ride, if I turn my head suddenly and surprise it, there it is, that smell. Such a peculiar odor, too. I had spent hours in trying to analyze it, to find what it smelled like. It is not bad at first, and very gentle, but quite the subtlest, most enduring odor I've ever met. In this damp weather, it is awful. I wake up in the night and find it hanging over me. It used to disturb me at first. I thought seriously of burning the house, to reach the smell. But now I'm used to it. The only thing I can think of is that it is like the color of the paper, a yellow smell. There's a very funny mark on this wall, low down near the mopboard, a streak that runs round that room. It goes behind every piece of furniture, except the bed, a long, straight, even smooch, as if it had been rubbed there over and over. I wonder how it had, I'm sorry, I wonder how it was done and who did it and what they did it for. Round and round and round and round and round. It, it makes me dizzy. I really have discovered something at last. Through watching so much at night, when it changes so, I have finally found it. The front pattern does move. And no wonder. The woman behind it shakes it. Sometimes I think there are a great many women behind it, and sometimes only one. And she crawls around fast, and her crawling shakes it all over. Then, in the very bright spots, she keeps still, and in the very shady spots, she just takes hold of the bars and shakes them hard. And she is all the time trying to climb through, but nobody could climb through that pattern. It strangles so. I, I think that is why it has so many heads. They get through, and then the pattern strangles them off and turns them upside down and makes their eyes white. If those heads were covered or taken off, it would not be half so bad. I think that woman gets out in the daytime, and I'll tell you why, privately. I've seen her. I can see her out of every one of my windows. It is the same woman, I know, for she is always creeping, and most women do not creep by daylight. I see her on that long, shaded lane, creeping up and down. I see her in those dark grape arbors, creeping all around the garden. I see her on that long road under the trees, creeping along, and when a carriage comes, she hides under the blackberry vines. I don't blame her a bit. It must be very humiliating to be caught creeping by daylight. I always lock the door when I creep by daylight. I can't do it at night, for I know John would suspect something at once. And John is so queer now. I I don't want to irritate him. I I wish he would take another room. Besides, I don't want anybody to get that woman out at night but myself. I often wonder if I could see her out of all of the windows at once. But turn as fast as I can only see out of one at a time. And though I always see her, she may be able to creep faster than I can turn. I have watched her sometimes away off in the country, in the open country, creeping as fast as a cloud shadow in the high wind. If only that top pattern could be forgot or could be gotten off from under the other one. I mean, try it. I mean to try it, little by little. I have found out another funny thing, but I shan't tell it this time. It does not do to trust people too much. There are only 2 more days to get this paper off, and I believe John is beginning to notice. I don't like the look in his eyes. And I heard him ask Ginny a lot of professional questions about me. She had a very good report to give. She said I slept a good deal in the daytime. John knows that I don't sleep very well at night, for all I'm so quiet. He asked me all sorts of questions too, and pretended to be very loving and kind, as if I couldn't see through him. Still, I don't wonder he acts so, sleeping under this paper for 3 months. It only interests me, but I feel sure John and Jenny are secretly affected by it. Good night, dear. Sweet dreams. Hooray. This is the last day. But it is enough. John is to stay in town overnight, and I won't be out until this evening. And won't be out until this evening. Jenny wanted to sleep with me, the sly thing, but I told her I should undoubtedly rest better for a night all alone. Aw, thank you, dear. I'm so happy about all of my dreamers. You all make my heart very happy, and I hope to be your very best dream siren. Sorry. I was wondering why your smooch looks so odd. There we go. All the forehead kisses for my dreamers. Hooray! This is the last day, but it is enough. John is to stay in town overnight and won't be out until this evening. Jenny wanted to sleep with me, the sly thing, but I told her I should undoubtedly rest better for a night all alone. That was clever, for really I wasn't alone a bit. As soon as it was moonlight and that poor thing began to crawl and shake the pattern, I got up and ran to help her. I messed this all up, I'm sorry. I pulled and she shook. I shook and she pulled, and before morning we had peeled off yards of that paper. A strip about as high as my head and half around the room. And there, when the sun came and that awful pattern began to laugh at me, I declared I would finish it today. We go away tomorrow, and they are moving all my furniture down again to leave things as they were before. Ginny looked at the wall in amazement, but I told her merely that I did it out of pure spite at that vicious thing. She laughed and said she wouldn't mind doing it herself, but I must not get tired. How she betrayed herself that time. But I am here, and no one person touches this paper but me. Not alive. She tried to get me out of the room. It was too patent, but I said it was so quiet and empty and clean now that I believed I would lie down again and sleep all I could, and not to wake me even for dinner. I would call when I awoke. So now she is gone, and the servants are gone, and the things are gone, and there is nothing left but this great bedstand nailed down with the canvas mattress we found on it. We shall sleep downstairs tonight and take the boat home tomorrow. I quite enjoy the room now it's bare again. How those children did tear about here. The bedstead is fairly gnawed, but I must get to work. I have locked the door and thrown the key down into the front path. I don't want to go out, and I don't want to have anyone come in till John comes. I want to astonish him. I've got a rope up here that even Jenny did not find. If that woman does get out and tries to get away, I could tie her. But I forgot I could not reach far without anything to stand on. This pad will not move. I tried to lift and push it until I was lame, and then I got so angry I bit off a little piece of a corner, but it hurt my teeth. Then I peeled off all the paper I could reach standing on the floor. It sticks horribly, and the pattern just enjoys it. All the strangled heads and bulbous eyes and waddling fungus growths just shriek with derision. I am getting angry enough to do something desperate. To jump out of the window would be an admirable exercise, but the bars are too strong to try. Besides, I wouldn't do it. Of course not. I know well enough that a step like that is improper and might be misconstrued. I don't like to look out of the window even. There are so many of those creeping women, and they creep so fast. I wonder if they all come out of that wallpaper as I did. But I am securely fastened now by my well-hidden rope. You don't get me out in the road there. I suppose I shall have to get back behind the pattern when it comes night, and that is hard. It is so pleasant to be out in this great room and creep around as I please. I don't want to go outside. I won't, even if Jenny asked me to. For outside, you have to creep on the ground and everything is green instead of yellow. But here, I can creep smoothly on the floor, and my shoulder just fits in that long smooch along the wall. So I cannot lose my way. Why, there's John at the door. It is no use, young man. You can't open it. How he does call and pound, and now he's crying for an axe. Ah, it would be a shame to break down that beautiful door. John dear, said I in the gentlest voice, the key is down by the front steps, under the plantain leaves. That, that silenced him for a few moments. Then he said, very quietly indeed, open the door, my darling. I can't, I said. The key is down by the front door, under the plantain leaf. And then I said it again, several times, very gently and slowly, and said it so often that he had to go and see. And he got it, of course, and came in. He stopped short by the door. What is the matter? He cried. For God's sake, what are you doing? I kept on creeping just the same, but I looked at him over my shoulder. I've got out at last, said I, in spite of you and Jane, and I've pulled off most of the paper, so you can't put me back. Now, why should that man have fainted? But he did, and right across my path by the wall, so that I had to creep over him every time. The end. It was the wallpaper that drove her mad. All right, my dears, that is our cozy reading hour. I hope that you have a wonderful end of your day, that you have a full belly when you rest. Most of all, that your dreams are sweet. We will be back here tomorrow. We might do a little Pokepedia, because Friday we will have our Magnus Archive listening party, and Thursday I think we will get back to Cabernet. So look forward to Pokepedia tomorrow sometime. For now, oyasumi, or as we like to say here, oyasumira. Oh, I hope you have a good break. Yes. Oh, we're getting ready to end stream. We were only doing reading tonight. Yes. So, oyasumi, sweet dreams, and good night. Mm. Good night. Good night. Good night. Yes. Good night, my dear.